Hello, so this is going to be a video on the Riot Visor for the British Mark 6 helmet and Mark 6A helmet. So I've got the Mark 6A here, and I'll show you how it would actually mount to the Mark 6A if you'd, for example, got the Mark 6 helmet and got the bits to attach it, or if you've got the Mark 6A and you want to buy the bits to attach it. Because obviously it does actually make more sense mounting this to a Mark 6A helmet, because the Mark 6A offers a vastly better protection from shrapnel and ballistics than the regular Mark 6 does. So we'll talk a bit about the visor itself. So you may have noticed on some Mark 6 helmets that there's these little bits on the sides which are for a visor mount, but generally you don't see the visors for them. So they are literally for fitting a visor that goes up and down properly. So the logic was that with some older British helmets, such as the Mark 4, they were used sort of in peacekeeping missions in Northern Ireland and things like that. The idea was that you could basically bolt a riot visor onto the helmet, like a bit of polycarbonate or a bit of metal, which makes a lot of sense, but the issue was that if you have it permanently mounted to the front, you're only going to really want to use that helmet for riot scenarios, and for a lot of other uses you wouldn't want the visor on it. And you also can't put the visor up and down on a lot of helmets because they're literally, you know, bolted to the front of the helmet. So the idea was with the Mark 6 that they'd actually build a method into the helmet of mounting a riot visor that works incredibly well. So despite all the faults of the Mark 6 helmet, the functioning riot visor that actually works on it if you mount one is a very good addition. So the idea is, if you're doing peacekeeping operations and were issued this helmet, you could just literally snap the visor on and take it off again if you wanted to, and it's very easy to do actually. I've heard some people say it's difficult, but I'd say it's not really. So I'll put the visor down, then on here there's these two screws, so you just twist those and then it should lift off. There we go. So how this attaches is, you can see there's the two screws, and then there's the helmet mounts there for it. And as I was saying, these are the ones that my Mark 6 came with, but the Mark 6A doesn't, but I can fit them. They literally screw into the sides there. So inside the helmet you mount them, and on the outside. And it's just basically the visor bits. So how this works, as you can see, this visor isn't in perfect condition. I gave it a bit of a clean before doing the video, but it's an old second-hand piece of milsurp, so what can you expect? All you do is put this on there. You push this as best you can onto the mounts. It's generally easier to do one side and then the other. So let me just try and do this. I might have to take the helmet off to remount it, but the idea is that you get these on and then you screw that bit. Once you've got the bit mounted, that is the locking mechanism. So let me just take the helmet off and show you that properly, then I'll put the helmet back on. So yeah, just to show you the mounts, all they do is they're screwed in via the inside and outside there. They just literally fit to, as you can see on the helmets, that section there, and that is all that it is for the riot visor. So that is the bit that twists. So the idea is that you have something that literally sits on the helmet that makes a riot visor, rather than the, you know, just directly bolting it on, which is a great idea. So all you do, as I said, is get the visor. So let's get this in place, and then I'll show you. So you push it so it roughly sits flush with the helmet. And then you twist this. So let me try and get this one in place. So it's not super easy, but it's not something you need tools for. So there we go, that's one done. And as you can see, that's locked on. Now this one, I'll probably be able to actually show you properly in frame with it. So you get that so it's pretty much sitting on there, as you can see. Then, when it's flush, which is the bit I'm struggling with at the moment, I might need to get the visor into a certain position for it to sit flush, depending on... There we go. Right, that's sitting flush now, so what I do is twist this, and there we go, that's locked into place. So if I just put this down there, and then that one down there, as you can see, the visor goes up and down, no problem. So, the nice thing of this visor as well is you can put it fully back if you want to. So when it's not in use, you don't have to have it blocking your face at all, but as you can see, you can have it all the way forwards as well. So let's just put it fully back. So once you've got one of these visors mounted, there's not really any reason to take it off unless you actually wanted to. Now, the good thing obviously with these, it means if you had troops issued these helmets, as much as I said, the regular Mark 6 offers almost no protection, although it does work well as a hard hat at least, but you know, this would make a lot more sense mounted to the Mark 6A, so I will probably swap this over after the video onto the Mark 6A, because I'd rather have a Kevlar helmet with a visor on than a, you know, ballistic nylon helmet that 9mm pistol rounds will go all the way through. So basically, The point is, though, that if you had troops, you could issue them with their regular infantry helmet, essentially with almost no modifications, a functioning polycarbonate riot visor that would go up and down on the helmet, and protect their faces from incoming sort of projectiles like bricks or Molotovs and things like that, if they were on peacekeeping operations, or if they were defusing mines or something like that. It gives you a bit of extra facial protection from shrapnel, because some polycarbonate is actually quite durable. If you've seen the videos where I've tested the riot shields, or companies have done videos testing riot shields, you'll know that obviously while they are not bulletproof, there's lots of things like birdshot and sort of crossbow bolts and things like that which will really struggle to get through this. So it does give you some idea of just how tough these polycarbonate things can be, especially if you had just some, debris flying off from an explosion. It would certainly protect your face getting smashed in, or an eye being taken out, something like that. So yeah, the Mark 6 riot helmet sort of visor is very cool, because it essentially turns your regular military helmet into a functional riot helmet as well. So where I can imagine this would be really good is because Mark 6A helmets are not very expensive now on eBay. You can get them for the £20 to £30 region, because the British Army's pretty much completely got them out of service for the Mark 7 and now the Virtus helmet, or the Vitrus helmet, however it's pronounced. These are turning up very cheaply. So essentially what you can do is get the Kevlar Mark 6A helmet, buy the mount for the riot visor and buy the riot visor, which should only be about £10 or £15 in total. It was literally only about £5 for this one, because my Mark 6A already had the mounts on it. All I had to do was just buy the visor and just do what I just showed you on the video. What I will probably do now is swap this over to the regular Mark 6A, and that means I've got a Kevlar helmet that will offer you some ballistic head protection, as well as impact protection, and you've got a riot visor on it. So I think that would be a really good helmet for shit hits the fan, because while I said before I don't really prep for anything like that, the interesting thing is obviously you've got a bit of a dilemma with some helmets, where you either have a helmet that will work as a riot helmet, that will protect you from impacts and things like that, but offers no ballistic protection, or you have Kevlar helmets which give you much better ballistic protection, and while the helmet itself might protect you from impacts to the head, it doesn't provide any face protection like a riot helmet does. This is the best of both worlds, because although the liners in these aren't as comfortable as riot helmets, they do actually, give you some head protection from impacts. So what you end up doing is getting a Kevlar helmet that has a riot visor you can put up and down and take on and off very easily, or at least easily enough. You don't need a screwdriver or anything like that once you've got the mounts installed. So what I'm going to quickly do now is stop the video, I will get a screwdriver out, I will transfer the mounts from this helmet over to the Mark 6A, hopefully that all goes fine, and then I will show you the riot visor on the Mark 6A. Okay, right, I'll show you the parts you'll have. So once you've taken the mounts off of a Mark 6 helmet, it will look like that. Once you've taken the parts off the Mark 6A helmet, it will look like this. Hang on a second, because I've got loose screws here, I don't want to lose those. I have to put them in the helmet to transport them, and of course that wasn't a very good idea. So let's get all these out. There we go. Right, so you'll get your Mark 6 helmet, which will then look like this, or Mark 6A. I need to pull these bits out because there's an extra little washer or something in there that's stopping the visor mount from going in. So that looks like it's just a little screw or stopper on the inside that I need to poke out with something. But I'll show you the assembly parts anyway. So how these work for either helmet you're putting them on is, by default the helmet looks like that, although it might, as I said, have had the stoppers in it. What you'd do is you'd get these, which are your mounts. This little pin pushes into the top bit there. Then you've got that, that's the one for the other side, obviously. So let me flip that around and put it on the right side. You can tell at least which side these go on because they sit flush with the helmet. So that holds it in there. Then all you do is you get your screws and washers, and you would essentially... The washer set was slightly different with the screws and everything than the with the Mark 6 than the Mark 6A. But all you do is put one screw through there, put the washer through, and that little nut, and then you just make sure these helmet straps are sandwiched between there so they will fit together. So what I'm going to do now is put these on the Mark 6A once I pull that little bit out that's annoying, and then we will assemble it. I'll just wonder if I can use this bit to poke out the one that's in the Mark 6A. If not, then I'll just find another tool to do it with, or potentially a drill if I have to. But I think that's coming. Yeah, that is. So now I can pull this out. I might need to use my pliers for this. So yeah, this isn't the easiest job in the world, simply because, as I said, it's one you're meant to be able to do without tools, but the issue is that, of course, you can't do it easily without tools for the mounting operation, just because you're having to essentially pull these helmets apart. Tell you what I will use, which is a bit dodgy. Doing it with a Swiss Army knife, I will try and lever it off with the blade under there. So I'll do this, obviously, the blade facing away from me, but hopefully this will work. Just, now the blade's facing me, but it's because I need to do it this way. I think that's got some of it out. Basically just trying to prise this up. Obviously you have to keep going from each side, otherwise it's going to just sort of snap part way in the middle. I think that's nearly out now. As you can see, that's coming, so what I'll do is I will stop the camera, get these out, and then I'll resume the video when it's all put back together. Okay, so removing those bits ended up being a lot harder than it should have been, but it's done now. Basically, they were little plastic plugs that were almost like glued in there, or they put in a bit like raw plugs, so they're designed not to come out. So what I had to use is, when you drill into a wall, you can get those tools, I can't remember the name of them, and they're the ones where you essentially you push it, it's like a really sharp point, and then it's kind of on a mechanism, and it just makes a little hole, so when you drill, you can drill straight into it. I used one of those, and compared to the screwdriver, it was a lot better at forcing it out, so it took sort of 3 or 4 pushes, and then it just popped them out, and one of them just really disintegrated. So anyway, that's them out. So the process will be to get the one and work out which side it fits on. So, not this side, so this side. So let's put this one on first. So what we do is we just push this little peg here into the bit it's meant to sit in. And I get the weird feeling that on this particular MK6A, there we go, that little bit isn't the size it was on the other one. But that's that there, so that's that visor mount. So then what you do is you get this little strap that's here, and you put it through the bit there. So I will just do that now, so that doesn't get lost. And then, once that's there, you get a washer and screw and put that through. So we will use the plastic. I'm just working out now whether or not I want to use... I'll probably use the ones that came off the Riot Visor, the original one, because they're probably the more durable screws. So these. So I'll use that in the metal washers, not the plastic ones. So let's use this and one of these bolts. There we go. So what I'm going to do is, this obviously goes through on the outside bit, so let's put that through. So it's screwing through there fine, so this hole's at least the right size. So then what you should be able to see is that that particular screw is sticking through the helmet there. So then I just get the washer, put that on there, there we go, that's worked. Then I just get the nut, put that there, tighten the nut, and that's that one done on that side. I might need to tighten it up ever so slightly, but otherwise that's that side done. Actually, the ones I took out I think had screws on those mounts, but never mind. Anyway, there's that there. Oh no, they didn't. What I'm thinking of was the bit that was on the MK6 regular helmet, or the, sorry, the MK6A before I took them out, but they were short screws that weren't as durable. So there's that one mounted. So that's that one done. The process is pretty straightforward, it's just there's a lot of complications involved in this because of just age of the helmets, bits painted on, some of them have, had these holes filled in. So then we get this one, line it up with that little hole, push that peg in, there we go, get that hole lined up with the other one, then get the screw, put that in, and then just might as well tighten most of that there. This one's a bit looser on this one, so it's gone straight in. Then get the metal washer, if I can find where I've put that, and that's gone missing. Brilliant, I thought I saw that just now. Oh, there it is. Right, so metal washer and the nut. So I'll get that other strap, put that on there. So the strap's there, the washer over the strap, and then get the nut and tighten that. I might tighten these up with some pliers once I've done this, just to make them really secure. So yeah, all I'm going to do now is just get the pliers and, just so you can see what I'm doing, Just tighten that up on there so it's on really securely. And I'll just do the other side. So yeah, I'm sorry this isn't really in frame, but it's quite obvious what I'm doing anyway. It's just literally using pliers to tighten those nuts. So there we go. So if you have a look at that, you can now see that the Mark 6A has the Riot Visor mount on it. So hopefully now, what I can just do is slot this visor on, and I will have a working Kevlar helmet with a Riot Visor, which will be pretty cool. So, and finally success, so let's put it on. The issue I was having this time, and this has been me being really stupid, was I was trying to mount the visor on backwards. I think I had it the right way around when I first put the helmet up. Interestingly, where this one's got those little rubber things at the top, it stops you putting the visor all the way back. So whether or not I want to remove these at some point, I don't know, but that's like a thing that stops the visor going back. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, really. I mean, you can still see perfectly fine with it at this height, but, you know, I kind of like the idea that you can put the visor totally back if you wanted to. But let's put this strap on, and then I can show you a Mark 6A, so a Kevlar helmet with a visor. But yeah, it's a good system. As I said, it's a bit complicated, as you've seen from this video, than it should be. But the system itself, I think, is good. It's just the implementation of it could be a bit better. But that's like a lot of British military stuff, though, isn't it? A good idea on the drawing board, but not always the best idea when it's actually designed. So there we go. That is the Mark 6A helmet, as you can see, with a Riot Visor. So this video has covered the Mark 6 with a Riot Visor, taking it off through a load of steps, putting it onto the Mark 6A with a load of steps. But now, yes, I have a Kevlar helmet with a Riot Visor on, which is bloody cool. So, there we go. Looks good. And, yeah, you've got a lot more protection for a Kevlar helmet, or a Riot helmet. Either way, it's better, really, than each one. So there's a bit of compromise, because obviously this would offer you less shock protection from impacts to the head than the actual Riot helmet would. And obviously there's probably better Kevlar helmets out there than the Mark 6A. Like, I'd rather have the Mark 7 with this sort of mount on or something, but, you know, all in all, pretty bloody good, because you can at least get a helmet that gives you a decent amount of protection, bear in mind the Mark 6A, not the Mark 6, and combine it with a polycarbonate Riot Visor. So there you go.